David Parker.
Yes, thank you, Mr Chairman, and thank you, Mr Attorney, for those remarks, particularly in respect of the different long stop liability period. And I agree that we don't have, and nor ought we to have, the same limitation period applying to absolutely all causes of action. I would say, in respect of the two examples that the Attorney used, the Family Protection Act, of course, has a shortened period because you need to distribute the proceeds of a will and let people spend those or use them for the purchase of a house or use the assets that they inherit after a period. And of course, when someone dies, one generally knows, if you're in the class of people who can make a claim under the Family Protection Act, who are essentially close relatives of the deceased, they know that the deceased has died, and therefore they know that if they're going to challenge the will, that they've got a cause of action to challenge as a consequence of the death of their relative. So I don't see that as being a good reason or a good comparison with the Building Act. In respect of the Fair Trading Act, similarly, I would have said that most of the claims that are in respect of the Fair Trading Act are things that are going to be known to a party within that period, and if they didn't have a Fair Trading Act right, they would have a contractual right of claim, which under this legislation would have a long stop liability in case of a lack of knowledge on the part of the claimant or the person who's injured, which would actually be a 15-year limitation period. So whilst I accept the proposition that there are some areas that you do have a shorter limitation period, I don't see the comparison, the examples that the Minister has given, as being a good justification for having a different rule from the general 15-year long stop period for building cases, because I think those building cases are more similar to the other cases where we do have the long stop liability period than they are to the likes of the Family Protection Act or the Fair Trading Act cause of action, again noting that in the Fair Trading Act you generally have a contractual cause of action if you didn't want to rely upon your Fair Trading Act cause of action. So I see it as being more akin to general claims and tort or contract. So I do continue to be of the view that the long stop period for building cases ought to be the same as it is for other cases. There should be alignment, and I would encourage the House to consider the amendment seriously that will be appearing on the floor of the House.
Mr Chairman. Call the Honourable Chris Finlay.